I've mentioned flock cameras a couple times and mass surveillance. Flock is just the brand, so concentrating on that too much is not necessarily going to solve the problem. They're just going to bring in a different brand. But the issue about the whole mass surveillance thing is not even what you see on face value that might be bad. That's one thing. It's what else it can mean. Because these days, they could put you in somewhere that you're not. They could put your car somewhere that it's not. And if they can do that, they can also remove other people. So, certain people that's in with a click, so to speak, they might be somewhere, but they can have themselves removed. And if you don't think they can do that, maybe you should look up Joseph Stalin. He was known for basically removing people from photographs that he no longer considered to be his friends. He was known for one or two other things as well, but that's one of the things for sure. So if he could do it back then, what do you think they can do now? That's the problem, because any alibi you have can be, you think, oh, well, there's cameras all around, right? So I can't be framed for something because a camera caught me somewhere else, right? Unless you got deleted from somewhere else, or you got put in somewhere else where you weren't. And you think, well, they're going to see the guilty party, right? And then that person is on the inside, and they get digitally removed. It's not that hard to do. They've been doing things in that vein for many years. So that's some of my fear. And like I said, I kind of mentioned that it helps as far as, let's put it this way. They could just do something completely bogus. Here's a scenario. They put a flock camera, every town's got a main street. Let's say 500 Main Street, okay? And it's seeing a certain amount of area, right? Well, after it's been running a certain amount of time, sort of the computer sort of memorizes that area. It's got it down, right? Nothing's changed. No drastic changes have happened. It doesn't have to record any longer if they're trying to pull something with it, is what I mean. It could just be sitting there, and then they could create a scenario where you did such and such. Meanwhile, the camera's no longer even recording. They've taken the data they already have and then made the scenario, since they've recorded everybody. They could take you from last Wednesday walking past, change you up a little bit, and make it like you were just there, and you weren't. But it sure looks like it, and you do go around that area quite often. It's not that hard to do, and that's what's been worrying me about it a long time. You could have a whole string of these things not running, and they're just creating things. So reality is whatever they say it is, because they can show you hours of footage, legitimate footage that can be verified by everybody that's in it, be verified by other recording devices, or certainly not debunked. And then they could slip in something fake and you wouldn't know any better. It's kind of like a scenario I talked about how years ago about the Bible. How there's people who are so influenced by the Bible without thinking for themselves, but they don't really know the Bible. So you could actually slip parables in and they wouldn't know any difference. Well, you can do that with this. It'd be very easy to do it. That's something worth thinking about. Because once it knows that area, it can just create things. It can do AI. It can be people walking through there. How many people do you really know in your city or town? I bet you don't know everybody. If you're watching like a camera, let's say you're seeing a flock camera, the recording that it did. If it threw in a whole bunch of AI people walking past, you're not going to be able to say, that person's not real. That person's not real. They're not from my town. I've never seen them before. It doesn't matter. There's lots of people you don't see before. You go out in town 1,000 times, you're going to see new people every time, even in a small town, very relatively small town anyway. There might be some that's small enough that that won't happen. But that's not where this is going to be the most threat. So it's something to think about. Because, you know, the whole AI thing happening at the same time. And this. Bad combination. Especially if you look at who's behind all this mass surveillance. Let's just say there's somebody that already gets a lot of money and assistance from this country and shouldn't. We're not in good hands, let's put it that way. This is not to help us. It's not. Most of the things that get passed to help us are not to help us. They're not. Because why would they? It doesn't benefit them to help us. You know, I could get on a whole rant about that, but just keeping it with the mass surveillance thing. Keep your eyes open, because that's what they're working towards, and that's why these things have got to be gotten rid of. Because if that camera's not up there on 500 Main Street, they can't make their own scenarios. You know, if you're watching a movie, you sort of become sort of a God mode, so to speak, in the movie. That's why you're seeing everything. You're sort of a ghost in the movie. Most movies, anyway. You're not really a part of the movie. You're not any of the characters. You're just sort of watching everything. But if it's sort of a found footage thing, then there has to be an understanding that what we're seeing through as the viewer is the camera. So if there's no camera, you can't say this or that happened. And that's what needs to be thought about. If they put a camera up, they can say whatever happened because they can recreate it. Definitely think on this some, and it needs to be gotten rid of, 100%. No flock cameras, no mass surveillance.